Hello, and welcome to the Rare Brew, a podcast for ADNP families and caregivers, as well as the parents and caregivers of children with other rare genetic conditions. I'm your host, Kristi Carter Gibson, and this is the first of hopefully many conversations about any and everything of interest to our little community. I am so excited to finally be making this dream a reality, and I sincerely hope it is a benefit to everyone listening. So, first, I want to start with the vision that I have for this project. My son, who I'm going to affectionately refer to as Lizard on the show for his privacy, he's 12 now, and until February of 2024, just over a year ago, we didn't really know what the underlying cause of our son's medical, behavioral, and social challenges was. And even when we finally did get his whole genome report in our patient portal and we knew it was ADNP syndrome, we had no idea what that meant, what the future holds, plus so many regrets and self-critiques. What could we have done? How could we have advocated better, get to this answer sooner, support his unique needs leading up to this point? And it's a lot. It's a very lonely road. I really hope that this podcast can change that for all of us. I hope that you can come here and sit and enjoy a cup of coffee, listen to this on your drive to work or on your morning jog, whatever feels most comfortable for you, and just have a few moments to connect to the wider world and find the community that gets it and understands what you're going through. Because we're out here. I'm here. I guess selfishly, I kind of hope making this podcast fills my cup as a mom to a special needs kiddo, because I'll tell you, it's slim pickings out there. It's incredibly hard to find your people when the reality is that parenting our kids takes us on paths that have been largely untraveled by most parents. And it's no one's fault, but sometimes even the most well-meaning support and encouragements we get miss the mark for those of us who love children with disabilities. So a little about me. I'm a mom, of course. I have 4 kids. My oldest is my daughter. She is neurotypical in high school. She currently has blue hair, and she's way too cool to be my kid. And she's the best big sister. And then I have my ADNP sweetheart, Lizard, who's 12. We have a big gap and 2 more boys, a 4-year-old and 10-month-old. And that's it. There will be no more Gibsons. We have reached capacity over here. My house is loud, we're always busy, and balance is hard to strike. It's not just in parenting. I mean, all areas of my life and in our lives as a family. I always feel like I'm missing something, something's getting left undone, because it usually is. A lot of the time, my self-care is what gets left off. My van is always trashed. The kitchen sink is full most of the time. I rely way too much on frozen meals, just all the hot mess mom things. I have been a stay-at-home mom now since 2016, but for a few years I had the great pleasure of working as a high school math teacher. I loved it. I love the high schoolers. It's fun to see them grow and mature into adults and start slowly but surely shedding some of the more childish ways and to mature and to become fully who they are. I think that that's a really, really nice time around kids and get to support them. But my son's needs made working full time for myself and my husband really challenging. It was hard to find childcare. He was needing all of these therapies and appointments, and it was just too much to balance. And so I made the decision to stay home, and I homeschooled. I volunteered and did all of the kinds of things that I liked. I'm working on my graduate degree. Really, for the past almost 10 years, I've just poured into my kids and being a mom and homeschooling and all of those things. Sometimes I can do that from a full cup, and I have everything that I need for myself to feel fulfilled, and then I can give from abundance. But many, many times I was doing that when my cup was completely dry. And you just have to keep on going, right? Like, our kids' needs don't stop because we are drained, because we are overloaded. And so I would keep pouring anyway into my kids with an empty cup. And I'm sure many, many of you know that feeling and understand what it is. that those of us who love kids with disabilities go through. So, right now, my three older kids are all in separate schools, and so I'm a professional chauffeur basically. I take them to activities, appointments. I try to keep some order at the house. I have a little space, of breathing room, and the past couple of years, because of them returning to a school environment, it's been such a relief. So, doing the podcast right now just feels like the right time. This has been on my mind for a very long time, even before we knew that my son had ADNP specifically. Something for families like ours, navigating these unique joys and uncharted paths, these challenges that our kids face. This is the first time it just feels right and everything's aligning for me to do this. So that's why I'm doing it now. There are definitely some very real challenging years when you don't know why your child is struggling. Going to therapies across town multiple days a week. I was homeschooling. We had all of the medical appointments as well. We were working through challenging behaviors, and it was just so much. It's a lot. Not that I regret any of my choices, and I hope I don't sound like I'm just complaining about everything, and that's not what this podcast is for. But I think as parents of kids with rare diseases, particularly ADNP children, those with rare conditions that affect cognitive and intellectual disability, that affect developmental disabilities, I don't think any of us regret doing what's necessary to care for our kids, but the reality is there are sacrifices that have to get made. I am thankful that I'm in a season where that's a little bit easier, and I really, really hope that this podcast helps you to get to a season where things are a little bit easier for you as well. So, ADNP syndrome, I have learned a lot in the past year, but I am by no means an expert. I am still learning what it means. Just for those listeners that maybe are new to this diagnosis or are listening in that aren't familiar with this rare disease, ADNP is short for Active Dependent Neuroprotective Protein Syndrome, a mouthful. It is a rare neurodevelopmental disorder caused by a change or mutation in the ADNP gene. It's a very specific gene on our genome. That gene plays a crucial role in brain development and function. Children and individuals with ADNP syndrome often experience a wide range of challenges, including global developmental delays. My son had that diagnosis when he was very, very young. They experience intellectual disabilities, speech and motor difficulties. Many of the kids are diagnosed on the autism spectrum. Not all, but many. And often it's accompanied by medical concerns like low muscle tone, feeding and digestive issues, sleep disturbances. Though it is extremely rare, ADNP syndrome is one of the most common single gene causes of autism. As of right now, there are about 400 to 500 known cases of ADNP syndrome worldwide. It is believed to affect 1 in 20,000 to 1 in 30,000 births, though it's likely undiagnosed largely right now because of its complexity. It has overlaps with a lot of other conditions, and the testing requires full genome tests right now. There's no one specific test for ADNP syndrome. You have to go in for a full genome panel in order to catch this. So, how does that compare to other conditions that are similar? Well, Down syndrome, I looked it up, it occurs in roughly 1 in 700 births. So, it is 30 times rarer to have ADNP syndrome than Down syndrome. The chances of having albinism, like being albino, is 1 in 18,000 to 20,000. So your chances are slightly higher having a child with albinism than to have a child with ADNP syndrome. And getting struck by lightning in your lifetime, you have a 1 in 15,000 chance. So you are more likely to be struck by lightning than to have a child with ADNP syndrome. This one really got me. So conceiving triplets naturally occurs 1 in every 8,500 pregnancies. So you are almost 3 times more likely to have triplets than to have an ADNP baby. So wild, just rare disease. So for those that are in contact with other ADNP families that have met other children, it's incredibly diverse in terms of its impacts on health, behavior, cognitive abilities. Some of our kids have complex and fragile medical conditions. Others might have low muscle tone and are otherwise unfazed. Some are in regular education classes in school, will live independently as adults, and others require 24/7 supervision. Some have profound learning deficits, cognitive delays. A lot are diagnosed with autism, but there are some who aren't. My son specifically, he is mostly healthy, which is a huge blessing. He does have the low muscle tone. We've had sleep, digestion, other things pop up throughout the years, but we've been able to address them and get most of those issues resolved, or at least we have a protocol in place to sort of help him reach his full potential despite those struggles. He does have significant intellectual disability. It is unlikely that our son will live independently in adulthood. Right now, he requires supervision at all times, but we're really hopeful he gains some more personal autonomy with time and with life skills. He's doing so well. He is always so eager to please, and he works so hard at all of his goals. So I have a lot of hope for him. I think he's going to really surpass our wildest expectations for him, and I want to leave all the doors wide open for him as he grows and matures. He has been diagnosed with autism, and he has also been diagnosed with severe anxiety disorder. But wow, this is such a small part. There is so much more to them. It's always really nice to sit and talk with people who just get it, who know kids and love kids that are similar to mine. He has ADNP syndrome, but that is so small and compared to all of the other things that make Lizard who he is. He's funny, he's always laughing at something, usually his own jokes that he's made up in his head. We live in Central Florida, so he's a Disney fanatic. That's totally his happy place. He's always down for anything in Disney World. We go as a family a lot, and he's just the coolest. There are so many other things that he does, has interests in, and contributes to our family and to our lives beyond and far more impactful than this diagnosis. All of these ADNP kids are such cool kids, and there's so much more to them than their diagnosis, but the diagnosis is heavy. I mean, it really is a big part of our lives. So if you're still here, thank you. Really, thanks for listening and for showing up and caring enough to tune in to something so niche and specific, but also so deeply important to those of us who are living it every day, to share the messy parts and the meaningful parts, to make space for stories, yours, mine, everything in between. This is just the beginning. I have plans to bring in other parents, caregivers, professionals, researchers, people who live and work in the world of rare disease and neurodiversity. But also, I really want this to be a place where we talk about real life. Like, what's for dinner when you're too tired to cook and your kids are picky? And how do you advocate at an IEP meeting without losing your cool? Where do you find joy when things feel impossibly hard? What do we do in those first few days after diagnosis? Where do we start wrapping our mind around what is in store for our kids? So for those of you who stuck around, thank you so much for coming and letting me share my thoughts with you and my vision for this new project. I'm going to keep showing up and doing my best to start these conversations, and I really hope that you come alongside me and join in. You have been listening to The Rare Brew, a podcast by ADNP parents and caregivers in partnership with the new ADNP Syndrome Parents and Caregivers Network of Hope. New episodes premiere every other Friday on our Facebook page, Spotify, and YouTube, with more platforms in the works. Join us next time as we discuss how the language we use when we talk about ADNP and related conditions can affect our advocacy efforts, relationships, and so much more. Until next time.